Hello, everyone. Is the sound and image, are the sound and image okay? Okay, so let's go. Okay, so hi everyone, and welcome to this new live where we will go over what we have done in August and on what we are working now in September. So as usual, we start with the Treasury overview of the Treasury. So right now we have $232,000. So it's somehow 15% more than what we had last month. You have here the breakdown. So of course we mainly have UMA token, and the rest is basically stable coins and as well as a bit of ETH. The Treasury will change quite soon. I will go over it when we're going to discuss about the different proposal that has been voted and discussed this summer. So yeah. So in August, we received 5.4 thousand UMA token and around 1,000 USDC. And most importantly, for the number, the ecosystem number. So now that we have Polygon and Ethereum, I will just divide the ecosystem overview into two parts. So first on the mainnet, the TVL is now $1.3 million and there is 800,000 GFiat. So of course the number has decreased a lot compared to last month. It's normal, the yield farming have stopped, so now there is no more how to say value of holding GFiat if it doesn't earn a yield. The only point of holding now a GFiat on Ethereum would be if someone takes a profit from trading and they would like to have an exposure in stable coins. In order to increase the TVL and the number of GFiat on Ethereum, we will need to launch a new farming program. But the thing is that the fees on Ethereum, the gas fee, makes it very hard to for our audience, the people who are targeting, to play this game. Like we have seen with the end of the previous farming program, actually many people didn't make money because they invested with not a big amount. And because of the gas fee, basically their return of investment is either zero or negative. And this is a problem, of course, that you all know. And this is why most likely the TVL and the number of GFiat on Ethereum will remain somehow quite low. And we will invest way more time and resources into more scalable solution. Of course, we have Polygon, but we won't stop there. So on Polygon for now, we still haven't started any farming program or any marketing there. So we decided to don't put all the liquidity at first. but we will add way more liquidity now that the Polygon ecosystem around the GFiat will start to grow. So we have $300,000 of TVL and a bit less than $100,000 worth of GFiat. For now, the GFiat which have been minted on Polygon, it's some of them, I think 25K. It's only because we wanted to make some tests on Kyber, and the rest is basically some organic demand based, for the fiat on and off ramp. For the liquidity on the mainnet, so now there is $360,000 left in the liquidity pools, which allows to buy up to $1.4 million of synthetic assets and to sell, of course, $800,000. On SushiSwap, the liquidity has decreased, of course, a lot since the end of the farming program. Yet there is still $345,000. So if someone is still a liquidity provider in SushiSwap, I would invite you to just stop providing liquidity there. It's not paid anymore, and most likely you won't make money because the gas fee arbitrage are not profitable, and it's better to now move the liquidity into Polygon. The liquidity on Polygon. So right now on the liquidity pool for Syntherum, there is 181,000 USDC, which allow to buy the $700,000 worth of synthetic assets, and of course to sell $98,000. On Kyber, there is $51,000 of liquidity. Yet Kyber is using a concentrated liquidity system, which means that the $51,000 of liquidity in Kyber actually equals to have $1.5 million of liquidity if they were not using concentrated liquidity system. So for now, it's only us. We have provided 50K of liquidity on the Euro USDC pool. And the point was only to try to see if arbitrage on Polygon are better between Kyber and Syntherum or between SushiSwap and Syntherum. So we also have deposited some liquidity on SushiSwap. Forgot to mention this before. We deposited the same amount. I should have added here on SushiSwap. We also have 51K. So the point was to see what arbitrage will do, and by not a big surprise, but yeah, Kyber is the exchange that will make the most sense for our forex farming program. Some volume. So on the mainnet in August, there was a volume of $916,000, almost $1,000 on SushiSwap. So the fees for August on the mainnet, it's $1,800 and $300 for SushiSwap. On Polygon, we had the volume of $170,000. On Kyber, $6,200. So this was interesting because first on Kyber, so there is very few amount of liquidity, just 50K have been deposited, and I think we deposited around mid-August. So this is just the volume for mid-August, and it's only the volume for arbitrage. And there was very little arbitrage actually, not every day. We invited the community to do some, but yeah, most likely every day there was 1 or 2 arbitrage. Of course, there will be more arbitrage with bigger liquidity, but it was interesting to see that basically we did a volume of a bit more than 12% of the liquidity in just, let's say, 2-3 weeks. So this will be very interesting to see, to follow those metrics when we launch a farming program on Polygon. The fees on Polygon, so $85 for Jarvis. And for Kyber, unfortunately, I didn't succeed to do some data analysis and to find how much the fees are. The reason is that on Kyber, on the DMM, the fees are actually changing. So I can't say, okay, there is a volume of X, so the fees will have been, Y. But I have reached out to Kyber's team to try to help me to do some data analysis there. For the on-ramp, it was quite a good month. I like it because we constantly grow here. So the first month we did something like, I think, 40K. The second month we almost did 100K, and now we are at 156 or almost 160,000 USD of volume. The biggest volume was actually the on-ramping. I don't have yet the breakdown if it's on Ethereum or Polygon, but most likely it is because we have launched on Polygon and many people started to buy JEuro on Polygon. So this is basically the different breakdown. As usual, GBP is close to 0 for the off-ramp, and surprisingly, we have 12K of GBP, so almost 20K USD of on-ramping. So what we did this month. So even though in August we were actually, how to say, half of the team was in holidays, so we had very reduced amount of people working, but we did very cool things. So first we launched on Polygon. The launch on Polygon, we launched actually different things. So first, of course, we launched the liquidity pools. So J Euro, J Swiss franc, and JGBP. But we also launched the fixed rates. Fixed rates are actually a very interesting part of the protocol, and there will be an article at some point speaking about it. Basically, fixed rate long story short, those are synthetic assets collateralized by other synthetic assets. In our case, it's collateralized with J Euro. Sorry. But those synthetic assets, they have a fixed exchange rate against Euro. So for example, right now we launched two tokens. So the first one is BGN, so it's the Bulgarian lev. And the second one is XAF and XOF. So basically, it's what we call the franc CFA, which is a currency widely used in Central and in West Africa. And those two currencies, they are pegged to the euro. So, let's say roughly 1 BGN is equal to 0.5 euro. And 1 euro equal to 655, something like that, franc CFA. So because those rates doesn't change, or actually they don't change for quite a long time, instead of creating new liquidity pools and sharing the liquidity across new synthetic assets, here basically they are collateralized by J Euro. So if you send 1 J Euro to the BGN contract, you're going to receive in exchange 2 synthetic BGN. Of course, the fixed rate currencies, they inherit from all the features of our JFIATs, which means that they maintain their peg against any other currency, and you can exchange them for USDC without slippage, and of course, using the on-chain liquidity router to exchange them for Bitcoin and so on and so on. So we actually did pretty cool trades by exchanging BGN for Matic or this kind of thing on Polygon. Then we, of course, launched a Jarvis exchange with the on-chain liquidity router integrated on Polygon, and of course, a fiat gateway. We have integrated a new Web3 library. We had many issues with Wallet Connect with the previous library we were using. So now everything is fixed. We still have worked on the UI for self-minting. As I said last month, it's way more complicated than what we were thinking of at the beginning. So we are still working on it. There was many governance discussion. I'm gonna go over some after. There was also a cool initiative from the community, many French people, actually it was French people, the Legion Task Force. So the idea is to try to help to organize some marketing effort and so on in order to raise awareness of what we do. And we started, as we said the month before, to invest in some marketing. So we started quite light with some press release published on Cointelegraph, articles in some French media, and some interviews. And we will keep going with more articles this month, more interviews and press release. And some other things that we're going to announce soon. What else we did this month? So the website is a bit old and a bit outdated. The documentation is non-existent, and the blog is too messy. So it's very complicated for someone who wants to know a bit more about Jarvis and what we do to really go to the information we are looking for. So first thing we do is to redesign the website. So basically, it's a way cleaner website with the information easier to reach. And we also are working on a documentation. So the new website will be divided into 3 parts, home, protocol, and about. So home is basically nothing technical. We just present our stablecoins and the features that people may expect from those stablecoins. Protocol is a page with a bit more technical detail and links to different, to the documentation where each part of the protocol is explained. And about is more about our vision, our ambition, and of course, about the team. Then regarding governance, so first we did a proposal into the Kybers DAO. The idea here is to launch our farming program on the Forex pools on Polygon, and we were wondering whether we should do it on SushiSwap or on Kyber. And after a few tests, I mean, the best basically was to do it on Kyber. And it happens that Kyber has a liquidity mining program, which is called Rainmaker. And I just wrote a proposition for them to vote on whether or not they would like to incentivize a pool that we're going to bring. The vote has started yesterday. I think there is 2 or 3 days more to go. So if you have KNC token, you can go there and vote for us. But basically what I have suggested is to incentivize 4 different pools. So Euro, Swiss franc, and GBP, as well as Orioles. And if the vote passes, the liquidity mining will be more interesting than the one on Ethereum. First, because there will be more rewards. So there will be the KNC reward. There will be more UMA reward than we had previously, and way more also GRT reward. So overall, the APR will be way bigger. The second thing is that because it's on Polygon, transaction will be way faster and damn more cheaper, which means that we will finally be able to basically live test what we have described in the manifesto, where Forex indexes, so Euro USDC, GBUSD, and so on, could be a way to long or short on the Forex with a reduced risk, and to see also many arbitrage happening between Ethereum and the DMM. So basically, this is about the proposal. Aligned with this proposal, of course, I have made another proposal to the Jarvis governance to vote on the budgets that we can allocate to this proposal. So basically, what I have proposed on our forum is just to formalize, just to have the budget, to vote on the budget that we can allocate to the Polygon farming program. One thing that is interesting to read here is that I suggested, instead of in the previous program, what we are doing is every Wednesday we were adding the UMA token we are receiving from last week. And here, in order to have a valuation of the Aureus token a bit easier, I propose to deposit upfront the UMA token in the contract instead of doing it every Wednesday. And this is possible because for now we have a decent amount of UMA token. So we're going to spend it in order to have a bigger APR, and the Aureus token with price will be easier to anticipate and to estimate. And what we hope is that it will drive the usage of the protocol and the minting, of course, of the protocol. It will drive up the TVL, and this would help us to basically receive the UMA token that we have given upfront. On what we are working now, so of course we still work on the banking contract UI, so the self-minting. We will start at some point working on the USDC wrapper. Actually, we are maybe 1 or 2 weeks away to start working on it. So this is actually one of the most critical piece of Ethereum. Because first it will allow it's of course very important for the multi-liquidity provider, but yeah, first it will allow liquidity provider to earn more fees, and so it will drive more liquidity provider to deposit liquidity there. But we also work on better GRT token economics. And most likely, even though still haven't finished there, I need after to make a proposal about it. This could also make the GRT more integrated within the protocol. And we have a lot of ideas of how to use GRT in the protocol, but more like to unlock some features. It's not part of the protocol. So here, the idea is to try to make the GRT well integrated within the protocol, which at some point will, of course, redirect the flows and the value within the token. So this is actually very important. And when I will be ready with this, I will make a community discussion in Discord, and we could discuss those kind of new token economics. Also, we start working on a fork of Ethereum. So as you know, we we are a fork of UMA, but we are approved by UMA, which means that we are actually using UMA DVN, so Oracle, in order to do our dispute and liquidation. So it was very helpful on Ethereum and also on Polygon. But the problem is that it also makes us depending on UMA. And you may have seen that lately there are some layer one competing to attract project and devs with kind of very generous liquidity mining program. So we have Avalanche, we have Phantom, but there are also other blockchains without this kind of incentivization. There is Binance Smart Chain, of course. There is some layer two like Arbitrum. And the thing is that we cannot wait after UMA to deploy a bridge there. So we have two solutions. Either we wait and we just sit and see the train passing, or we just move forward and we fork our own protocol to deploy a second version. So it means that there will be two versions living at the same time, the version on Polygon and Ethereum, which are using UMA, and another version of Synthereum, which will be deployed on other blockchains and layer two solution. And so we started the work, I think it was last week or 2 weeks ago on it. Maybe in this week or in I mean, maybe next week, we may finish the Solidity code. And then we will need, of course, to do all the testing. But yeah, quite excited about this because it will allow us to be able to jump on the new hype without waiting. I don't know if you know, but for Polygon, we actually wanted to go there in February. And then we were waiting for the UMA bridge. And unfortunately, it was deployed end of June. So we have missed somehow the hype in Polygon. Yet now we are in Polygon and quite happy to be there. And I think there is a lot of value actually in this sidechain. But yeah, it's a bit sad that we have missed this hype. And now we have maybe missed also some, you know, the beginning of the hype on Avalanche and this kind of thing. So the idea is to basically be able to follow hype, and that's all. This will be better for the entire project. Then we are working on Jarvis Exchange V2. So as for the ones who have seen, now we have the on-chain liquidity router on Jarvis Exchange, but let's say it is what it's called hard-coded. So if we want to add new token, we have to do it manually. And you know that on Uniswap and so on, it doesn't work like that. You can trade any token listed by basically typing the smart contract address or using token list. So first thing we are doing is to integrate with token list, which will expand the number of tokens available on Jarvis Exchange. We are also working on some UI and UX improvements. We integrate the on-chain liquidity router V2, which is an improvement, of course, of the on-chain liquidity router V1, and the fixed rates, which are now not part on Jarvis Exchange. You cannot trade the fixed rate synthetic asset. So we work on that, and of course, to increase the loading speed. In that regard, we have some feedback from people saying that the application is slow. So the application itself is not necessarily slow, but to get the data on the blockchain, it's kind of slow. One way to increase considerably the speed is to change your RPC settings, if you know what it is. So for example, on Polygon, I advise you to do not use the first RPC that were provided when Polygon was launched, but to use a faster one. And you're going to see a crazy difference in the loading speed. And of course, we work on the website and documentation to make the project, as I said, a bit more easy to understand. I mean, no change in our ecosystem here. And about the mythology, so last month we worked on this art piece, which symbolizes the on-chain liquidity router. There is an article that will be soon launched on some media, crypto media. So basically here you have, I mean, if you want to decrypt it, so on synthetics and on Jarvis, thanks to the on-chain liquidity router, you can trade euro for Bitcoin or euro for AAV, whatever. You all know how those synthetics do it. They do it without slippage. And all the assets are traded within their protocol. And the problem is that when someone buys AAV or Bitcoin on synthetics, the liquidity providers on this protocol are the counterparty. So those two guys here, they basically symbolize the ethnic stackers, so the liquidity providers, who have to handle the this risk and the exposure to Bitcoin, ETH, and so on. They can do it, of course. There are many tools here to facilitate this kind of management, but yet it's it's a burden. So it's not very capital efficiency to become a liquidity provider there. And then you need to have a collateral ratio above a certain amount if you want to keep earning fees and staking rewards. And again, you really need to manage your exposure on Bitcoin, ETH, and so on, which is not super easy. On the other hand, you have Jarvis here, so with Ethereum, and you have the legendary, which are helped by a legendary and a unicorn. So the unicorn, of course, symbolizes AMMs. As you know, unicorn symbolizes usually Uniswap, but you know we basically generalize AMM using the unicorn. So on Jarvis, when you want to trade Bitcoin with Euro, as you know, the liquidity provider, they only have to manage the risk of the Forex exchange, so the Euro for the dollar. So when you sell J-Euro to buy Bitcoin, what is happening here is that you are selling J-Euro to your liquidity provider. So the liquidity provider will buy the Euro, so they will have a long exposure on Euro and a short exposure on the dollar. And that's all. The Bitcoin is managed by the AMM. So it is easier for liquidity providers to manage their exposure, manage their risk, and also there is not this kind of punishment when your collateral ratio is below certain amounts, so you don't earn fees and this kind of thing. So basically, this is what symbolizes this new artwork that will soon be an NFT on Rarible. So that's all for the life of this month. And if you have any question now, feel free to ask them. So the cool thing for Arbitrum is that it's not necessarily for the users, but let's say there are some projects there that have shown some interest in what we do. And also, you know, for me, the future is layer 2. I mean, I like sidechains, I like other layer 1, like Avalanche, maybe Solana and so on. But, you know, at the end of the day, everything is happening on Ethereum. I mean, the innovation is on Ethereum, the community, the memes, I mean, everything is on Ethereum. All the other blockchain, unfortunately, for now, they are mainly copy-paste of what has been done on Ethereum. And for me, the future is on Ethereum, but not with those fees. This is why for now we explore different solutions. But at some point, layer 2 will be way more usable with more users and so on. And this is why it's important, I think, to start getting there early. And again, there are some projects that can use our synthetic assets. So this is why Arbitrum can be a good solution. Okay, guys, so thanks a lot for your time and see you soon.